July 4th, 2025. Millaville, Texas. Population 847. The kind of place where everybody knows everybody, and nobody locks their doors. I thought I knew what floods looked like. I was wrong. It was a day like any other. The skies darkened, and the rain came down in sheets, but we were used to it. Living in Texas, flooding was just another part of life. But this was different. The rivers were rising fast. I could hear the storm outside, but it was the pounding rain against the windows that told me we were in trouble. I didn't know how bad it was until I heard the sound of rushing water, louder than anything I had ever heard before. That was the moment everything changed. The warning came late. We thought we had more time. I was with my daughter, Emily, in the living room, playing board games, laughing. It was just another evening, or so I thought. Then the lights flickered, and the wind picked up. Our small town was quiet, too quiet, and then it wasn't. I looked outside. The water was inching closer to the doorstep. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I ran outside, trying to gauge how fast the water was rising, but within minutes, it surged. The streets were covered.
There's a cat.
The sound of water crashing down louder with each passing second. My heart raced. I turned back inside, shouted for Emily to come to me, but she wasn't in the living room anymore. My heart stopped as I searched the house. I called her name, but the storm's howling drowned out my voice. The water was rising, fast, too fast. I finally found her in the kitchen, huddled near the back door, staring out at the yard. I pulled her close, but in that instant, I realized how helpless we were. There was no way out. The water was already up to the windows. We couldn't even drive. The roads were submerged, and all I could think was that we were trapped. I grabbed Emily and ran to the attic. It felt like we were running for our lives, even though I knew it was just the beginning of something worse. The water kept creeping like it was alive. I held her in my arms, whispering that everything would be okay, but I could hear the doubt in my voice. We weren't okay. We were scared. I was scared. I grabbed Jake's hand, pulling him toward the door. I knew we had to get to higher ground, but the road was already impassable. The river had spilled over the banks and spread out in every direction, cutting off our escape. By the time we got to the highest part of our property, the water had already reached the front steps, climbing higher with each passing minute. I felt a pit in my stomach, a sensation I'd never experienced before, like something inside me was being ripped apart. In the panic, I didn't even realize Jake had wandered off. 1 second, I was holding his hand as we climbed up the hill behind our house. The next, I turned and he was gone. I called his name, heart racing, but there was no answer. The sound of the water rushing, roaring, drowned out everything. My legs felt like they were made of stone as I screamed his name over and over. Then I saw him. He was just a few yards away, near the fence, trying to make his way back to me. But the water had already reached his ankles, then his knees, climbing higher by the second. Fear took hold of me. I rushed toward him, yelling for him to move, but the current was too strong. I reached for him, but the water was rising so quickly that I was scared to even get close. The panic in his eyes was too much to bear. The next few moments felt like an eternity. I could feel the water at my waist, and the sky opened up even more, pouring down on us like a floodgate had opened above. I had to get him out of there. I shouted, "Hold on, Jake. I'm coming." But with every step I took, the water surged higher, pulling me down, pushing me away from him. It was as if the flood was alive, swallowing everything in its path. His small, frightened voice echoed in my ears, but I couldn't reach him fast enough. The current was so strong, I felt like I was fighting for my life just to stay upright. I grabbed a rope from the shed, throwing it toward him, hoping he could grab it. But the water was too high. It pulled him further away, and in that moment, I thought I might lose him. My mind went dark. I couldn't think. I could only act. I waded deeper, braving the current with every step, and then finally, I reached him. His small hands grabbed onto mine, and I pulled him toward me with every ounce of strength left in my body. We made it to the roof of the barn, both of us soaking wet, trembling with fear. But we were together. And in that moment, that's all that mattered. Hours passed, and the water kept rising. We couldn't leave the roof, couldn't escape the rising tide. But there was something that kept me going, knowing that we weren't alone. The neighbors came together, sharing boats, helping each other to higher ground. I looked around at the town that I had known for so long. The familiar streets were unrecognizable, transformed into a vast, violent sea. But the people here? They hadn't lost their spirit. We stayed close, supporting each other, waiting for help. We were survivors. And together, we were more than just victims of the flood. We were a community. And no matter how bad things got, that connection was stronger than the water itself. The flood didn't care who you were. It didn't care about your plans or your dreams. It just took everything. And when the waters receded, the town was left with nothing but debris and the memory of what was lost. But I couldn't let that take us. I looked at Jake, at the people around me, and I knew something. We survived. And that was enough. Not everyone made it out. Not everyone was as lucky as we were. But survival isn't just about living through the storm. It's about what you carry with you after the waters recede. The scars, the guilt, the gratitude. For the first time, I realized that maybe surviving this, and surviving with my son, was the greatest thing I'd ever done. My name is Sarah Martinez. Single mom, night shift nurse at the county hospital. My daughter Emma, she's 8. Smart as a whip, stubborn as her daddy was before the cancer took him. The forecast called for scattered thunderstorms. In Texas, that's like saying the sun might shine. You don't cancel your life for scattered thunderstorms.
One minute you see lightning strike next to your cabin, and next you hear waters coming up, and you have kids running, just trying to get to other cabins, trying to get to safety. And luckily my cabin was one of the few cabins that did not get water, but the cabins in front of us did get some water.
Even up on Senior Hill. And I think, John, that conveys to you how fast the water came up, and how high it came, and how it was a 100-year historic flash flood. We had never seen anything like this. And I cannot say enough about what these young counselors did to calm these girls. And it was the camp name tag she was issued on the day she arrived. It resonated with me that somewhere those little lessons that we gave her as parents years ago and throughout her life resonated with her in that moment. And we're just so thankful.
The flood had taken so much from us, but it hadn't taken everything. And that was something worth holding on to. If you've ever faced a challenge that made you question everything, drop a comment below and share your story. And if this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more real, emotional stories. Stay strong, stay safe, and remember, we are stronger together.